Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. Be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. What was your reaction to the Saints signing Kwon Alexander?
Look, I was a little surprised that they went linebacker, but not a ton just because, like, Alex Anzalone really this year has just kind of been a guy. And Kwon Alexander is an upgrade from just a guy. And, look, I heard you in hour one sitting in typical carpool. And you're right. Look, when he's healthy, he's good. When he's not, obviously he can't get on the field. And he missed 3 games this year, but he was on his way back to playing this week. Something tells me maybe this trade might have sat him 1 extra week just to get it done, and then they get out from under that contract, and then the Saints get him. But Kiko Alonso wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
So all in all, you're in win now mode. If you get Kwon Alexander on the field, and by the way, when he played those 5 games, he played almost every snap in every one of those games. So he was an every down linebacker with Fred Warner in San Francisco. So if you move him to that point, if you move him to that point with DeMario Davis, it's an upgrade. And then if he's playing Will, DeMario doesn't have to do as much coveraging, which means he can spy a quarterback, a running back, blitz more. So I think it's a good move that's really not going to be a big-time cost for the Saints.
Walk me through the physicals and how that normally happens. Like, would the Saints have done this deal if they didn't have assurances that his ankle was okay?
They didn't do a physical, per se. Like, they didn't fly him in and do a physical. I mean, that just didn't happen. But he was limited in practice this past week, and it sounded like if you go look at the way the Niners beat reporters were reporting it, it sounded like he was going to play. Mm-hmm. So it kind of surprised me. I went to go look to see if he played, and he didn't. So it kind of surprised me that he didn't. And then the next day he gets traded. So, like I said, it sounds like he's ready to roll and play when he's allowed to out of the COVID stuff. And look, he's better than Kiko Alonso. I mean, he's better than Alex Anzalone. And for 8 games, which is probably how much you're going to have him because you're not going to have him this week, I'd take him for 8 games and then see what happens.
Larry Holder's with us. He's on Twitter at Larry Holder, theathletic.com/New Orleans. Speaking of injuries and the prevailing question, of course, it's Mike Thomas. Any insight there?
I'll say it again. I assume he's going to play this week, and don't call me if he doesn't. But like this seems like, as far as the hamstring, well, yes, I know you will. You will call me, text me, tweet me. You'll do whatever's necessary to take a shot, which is okay. I do the same to you.
Well, that's true, and your children do it to me also.
Fact. At least your kid does not do that. He needs, he does. Maybe he wants to stay away from Uncle Larry.
Or maybe I have a well-behaved child. How about that? Better respectful.
I'll take. Wow. So you're dogging my kids and saying
I'm dogging you. It's not their fault. It's your fault. You're the parent.
Wow.
Yeah.
I learned it by watching you.
The more you know.
Anyway. Look, I figured the hamstring injury from what I was hearing would be a 2-week thing, and I'm curious to see how he practices Wednesday if it's limited and he's that way all week. But this certainly seems like long enough time for him to be able to get over that and be able to get on the field.
How much does – all right, so super obvious question, right? How much does it impact the Saints when he returns?
Well, not just him. I'd say Emmanuel Sanders, because that's an element where neither one of those 2 guys played together very long. And I think I'm not going to say it opens this thing up because they've had Michael Thomas, and it doesn't open up the offense if you're looking for, 30-yard throws every other throw. I mean, that style of offense is not going to change, but it does at least give you more perimeter access to where you're not having to look just kind of in the seams, like for Kamara or for Jared Cook or just from someone over the middle. So that gives you more flexibility. Take some heat off Alvin Kamara, which might make him even more effective. So I think that when you look at it in that sense, I mean, this offense can only go up from here. You mean you're getting better players at your skill position.
Are you encouraged by the pressure that the Saints got against the Bears, or is that more a product of the Bears having sort of a makeshift offensive line?
No, I'm impressed because it's not just a 1-week thing. I feel like it's been happening probably since the Detroit game, we started seeing more pressure. And look, people are dogging on Cam Jordan because he doesn't have the sack numbers. But he is, I could tell you just by some of the next-gen numbers, I mean, this isn't air yards, but as far as distance to the quarterback, Cam Jordan has been very good, I'd say, these last 3 weeks. He might not have the big-time numbers. He has gotten a sack in the last couple of games. But you're seeing Trey Hendrickson play well. Marcus Davenport, now that he's on the field, you're seeing him make an impact. David Onyemata certainly looked good. I mean, you wish Sheldon Rankins didn't get injured, but he was looking good. So, look, just because Cam Jordan's not doing it, I mean, if you want to complain about it, complain about it. But at the same time, you might as well say, look, Trey Hendrickson and Marcus Davenport are playing well. So, you know, if you want to be Debbie Downer, look at Cam Jordan, even though he's not playing as poorly as people think.
Assess this team through 8 weeks at 5-2, 4-game win streak. We know all that stuff, but assess big picture in your mind where they are right now.
Oh, I don't think they're the best team in the NFC. I mean, I was saying that probably at the midpoint in the last couple of seasons, but I don't think that they're there right now. Could they get there? Maybe. I mean, the defense has to improve. Offense, if that takes a step up and starts winning games in a wider margin of victory, I think you could see that. Could that happen? I think it could. Because, look, even though they struggled, they've still won 4 games in a row. You got to be a good team to do that with everything that's going on internally, externally, whether it's injury, suspension, COVID, you name it. They've still got to be a good team to be able to do that and win tight games. Because in some of these win streaks they've had in these last few years, they have won by wide margins, and you felt more confident about those teams. I still think this team can be one of the best teams in the NFC. I don't think they're there quite yet. I think this week's game is going to be a good test. I mean, Tampa's definitely better than what they were in week 1. Bruce Arians admitted it, and he's smart to do it because they are. And so I think the Saints really need this game. A, it would give you some distance on Tampa as a tiebreaker, even though, you know, their records are still a game off because of buys. But still, this game is definitely important. I mean, it was important before we saw how the season even progressed, but it's definitely important the way the NFC South is now.
Yeah, Tampa's awesome. 2-point win over the Giants. It was controversial at the end. You're right. Great team. Huge.
Wow. No, so you're not giving Tampa any credit. Like, just because, look, they won games with wider margins. So the Saints have won all these crazy games. Wow, Detroit, huge. Chicago's not that good. They barely won. The Chargers can't hold the lead against anyone. But they're still winning games, so I'm not going to poo-poo on them.
They stink.
I mean, I just used the word poo-poo, so maybe they do stink.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.